never find, as long as you live, someone who loves you tender like I do. You'll never find, no matter where you search, someone who cares about you the way I do. Oh, I'm not bragging on myself, baby, but I'm the one who loves you, and there's no one else. No one else. You'll never find, it'll take the end of all time, someone to understand you like I do. You'll never find the rhythm, the rhyme, all the magic we share, just us two. Oh, I'm not trying to make you stay, baby, but I know somehow, someday, somewhere, you're gonna miss my loving. You're gonna miss my loving. You're gonna miss my loving. Late in the midnight hour, baby, when it's cold outside. Okay. Hello, friends. Welcome. I just stumbled to the song and brings me back the Motion Lounge in the 1974s. So I had to start the show with this song with Lou Ross. Yes, Camilla. Yes, Lou Ross. That was a famous song, special song for me too, and brings back a lot of memories. It just came up. I said I got to play. I got to open my show with this song. You know, in the Motion Lounge with Sonny Black and Napolitano on Graham Avenue, and you know, being associated with the Rastelli brothers. You know, Mari Rastelli. That was in 1974. But prior than that, I was already, you know, associated with Fritzi Giovanelli, you know, in Ridgewood. They were Genovese crime family. I was young, a new kid from Sicily. Didn't know anything about, you know, but you know, being related to any mafia members in America. The only thing I knew was the Cosa Nostra from back home in the town, you know, Carini. And when I came to America, I didn't know nobody. I started in Red Oak section, Brooklyn. You know, I was young and inexperienced. I didn't know nothing. And I still, 2021, you really don't know nothing. You're just trying to fit in with the wise guys, you know, and that's how my story begins. So in 1974, I was already associated with the Genovese from Ridgewood. I was already associated with Tony Guido in Glendale from the Gambino. And then, you know, already I met my girl, my life, you know, that I ended up marrying was related to Joe Messino. So when I got involved with the girl, I ended up buying a lunch wagon. I met the Rastelli brothers, you know, Rusty Rastelli, the boss. So being that Joe Messino was hooked up already with them, I felt I wanted to stay with the family. So I got really close with the Rastellis. And that's when I began to, you know, wanted to be a wise guy. I wanted to be, you know, a businessman, because I already had a pizzeria. I had a card game with a candy store, that I created with the Irish kids. And then I bought the lunch wagon. So in Glendale, I was my own man. I was associated again with Ridgewood, Maspet, and my base was in Glendale. So I needed to find a home. So what was better than being, with family member, even though if they were in-laws, they were connected with the Rastellis. Plus, I had the lunch wagon already, so I was already mingled with them. I see a lot of people here coming in, very good. So I'm doing some good. Also, my subscribers, you notice that going to have almost 1,700 before today's over. Before tonight, 1,700 subscribers. And a month ago, not even, I was very low, and people were saying I'm a fake, whatever. They even went against me, put things on my books, what you see behind me, on Amazon, tried to discredit me. They bought the books on purpose. This way they could find things to discredit me, and they did it. And they damaged the review. But I got 51 review and making my bones with the Mafia, because that's my first book. So in these two bananas, one is a woman, one is a man, that belong to a group podcaster guys that they don't like somebody like me, a real guy, a real Sicilian, Cosa Nostra, coming in and stirring up the pot. Even I'm sure Marco Francesis don't notice about me too. Same with the Bull. Joe Molina, I think he knows about me already too. So, and the other, those guys have mentioned, members of the crime family, so they could understand who I am, where I come from, and they will not attack me because everything I'm saying is true. It's not phony. Only those guys are phonies. They're not real. They're attacking me. So we're going to continue. But I would like everybody here that is here right now to, you got to make comments on my show that I'm posting. Let the people know that you're making comments. Besides subscribing and pushing like, I would appreciate it if you guys could make comments, about if you could understand where I'm coming from, who I am. If you got anything to say, like you're doing right now, doing a lot of chit chatting, it's good. But I would like to see comments on it too. This way, people could uh, see, that I have a relationship with my people, my followers, because that's what I'm trying to build. My follower, my friends. So a lot of people are here. And I'm very happy to see a list. Everybody's typing. I got 1 minute for me to be able to read and answer. Anyway, I'm going to continue. First of all, what I have in mind to say, that in 1974, I was making my bones with this three different families. The Genovese, the Gambino, Bonanno, and Colombo. So it's four family, all four different. And I was in Glendale. That was my turf with the Irish kids. And the Glendale at that time, it belonged to Tony Guido, an old man, from the Gambino. So I got along with everybody. So now I had to prove myself, So I done business in Ridgewood, then I did business in Glendale. Uh, Now I had to make my bones in the lunch wagon because they were the last, really, the Bonanno crime family. Because they didn't know nothing about me. The only thing they find out I was related to Joe Messino Salvatali. So I had to get acquaintance, and I got acquaintance with Marty Rastelli, one of the older brother of Rusty Rastelli, and through there, then in 1974, Carmine Galante came out of prison, and there was a beef between the Rastellis and, the Galante faction, what was old Banano crime family. I didn't know what was going on. The only thing I knew that I got close to the Rastellis, and I knew the story of Joe Bonanno. So I was in. I felt that's where I belong. I was a Sicilian like Joe Bonanno, Carlo Gambino. But I didn't get to meet Carlo Gambino. So, and I didn't get to meet what do you call it, Joe Bonanno. The only thing I got to meet Rusty Rastelli. He was the boss in 1974, but when Camagalente came home, he wanted to take over the Bonanno crime family. So here I am, 21 years old. I didn't know which way to go. I mean, I didn't know nothing. The only thing I knew, I wanted to make money, and I knew how to respect this kind of people, and I wanted to respect in return too. I didn't have nobody to guide me. The only one who could guide me was Joe Messino. Sabatali was just another new kid on the block. So it was Joe Messino more because he was the oldest, in the in-law family. Let's say it's in-law because that's all what they were to me, in-laws. But I look up to Joe Messino because he was very close to the Rastellis, and the Rastelli told me, you know, your uncle Joe Messino's got a future with us, so be close to him, listen to him, everything he tells you, just follow, and you're gonna be part of the family. So being part of the family, it meant they're gonna groom you. They're gonna teach you how to act, how to behave. So everything was happening, and then as I was in the lunch wagon, I got to meet Trudy Carmine Francese. He was friends with Joe Messino because they opened up the JJ Deli where Joe Messino made the sandwiches for the trucks, and he had the blessing of Rusty Rostelli's family to operate anything, any, how do you say, for the family, taking the lottos and football tickets and anything they could, uh, fell off the truck, hijacking, they were peddling all the, in the trucks. So I was in there. So I was, in the group. But I was the kid. I mean, I was I was going to be 21 years old in August that year, 74. So uh, I think Carmen Galante came out in the early 1974. So I got to mingle with the group because Joe Messina was saying he didn't know which way he was going. He was a maid then, so he didn't know which direction to go because he's got to go with the power, and you could get killed if you make the wrong decision. So he decided to side with the Camagalenti. So as time went on, uh, I stood with the Rostellis. I didn't want to. I mean, I'm not a guy that jumps ship. I didn't jump ship from the people from Ridgewood because I was a kid then. I was I met friends with Joe Leach, Stephen Maltese, but Fritzi Giovanelli was not a boss. He was a make guy. He was a button guy. So now I'm over here in Maspid, and I'm mingling with the boss, the family. So that's a big thing. If you really, how do you say, want to belong, you want to belong with the family. Plus, it was the Bonanno family. It was from Castellammare, near my home. You know, I mean, if I probably would have met really and get close to Carlo Gambino, I probably would have been closer to him because he was near my town, Torretta, not too far from my town, 10 minutes away. So, but it just happened that I got mingled with the Rostelli, so I became loyal to the Rostelli, and the Rostelli, liked me. They were grooming me. I was doing a lot of things, with Mari Rostelli, and Joe Messino didn't like it because I was getting too close. Because at the time it was nothing, it was just a moneymaker for them. They didn't really know about him, the roots. Me, they knew. I came from Sicily, Carini. I'm from Cosa Nostra city, near Palermo. So they see the way I was handling myself, though. So they wanted to groom me. To be. So anyway, I was bouncing around, go to John Gotti's club, gambling. I was going to Ridgewood, gambling with the, Fritzi's club and St. Nicholas Avenue. So I was making my rounds. So that gives you now recognition among the families who you are. So that gives you great credentials that if you get sponsored to belong in the family, because they would have to put your name on the list, you're qualified. So Joe Messina was just with the Rastellis. That's it. They didn't, and then when the Common Galenti came home, you know, they grabbed him. You're going to be with us. So now what is he going to do? Roster's in prison, and Galenti, was the strong arm. He was an enforcer. He had the power with the heroin, and a lot of people, a lot of killers wanted to be with the Carmine. But Sonny Black Napolitano, stood loyal to Rusty. So, and his crew, they stood. Even as Sonny Red, which his name was really Anthony Giorgio Delicato. Jojo. His nickname was Jojo, they call him. Red and Delicato was Jojo, little Jojo. And they were part of Rastelli's at that time in 1974. But they were making a grab. So that's where everything started became mingled up between the rivalry between the Rastelli and Camagalenti. So, but Camagalenti had the heroin. It meant a lot of money, and a lot of people wanted to get involved and make money. They were because everybody was involved, and getting involved with the heroin. So that's why Camagalenti got the blessed even from the other families because Camagalenti was already hooked up with the Sicilian faction, like the Totorina, what was the other guy, Batalamenti. So, so he was already connected with them, and he was bringing in the Sicilians, you know, like Pari Catalano, what was his name, Cesar Bonaventure, Padamato, you know. So he had the Sicilians on his side, and he had the Americans, and he probably had the Genovese on his side. He had because he goes back in history with the Genovese with Vito Genovese because he was with Vito Genovese in the 30s, 40s, and they were doing things together. So he had the power. Kamagalenti had the power and the blessing to move against Rusty Rostella, take over the family. So I'm not seeing too many likes here. Push like and try to make comments, please, because I would like people to know. Uh, there's a lot of people here. I like it, and I'm happy to see that. So I'm gonna say hello to some people. Let me get it to the top because it's not nice. I don't say hello because the whole thing is to chat with you guys about my story. All right, I already said hello to Carmela. I had the song Lou Ross was on this morning. At the beginning of the show, Lou Ross was big in the 70s, mid 70s, especially, like I said, the Motion Lounge. They play that song a lot. Okay, we got now Edwin. Edwin, Don Giacomo, bless always. Have a great telecast. Thank you, Edwin. Um, so then we got Come Stai, Victor De Jong, Jackie. Come Stai, Jackie. Okay. Hello, Victor. All right, now we got I love you, Jackie. I love you too. Thank you. Uh Chaco, was it Jilly as I mean as they say? They're all tough guys. They were real tough guys. You gotta be a tough guy. Those days in 1974, they took with the gun. They didn't bullshit or with the knife. So you disrespect them, they would have to show that they are a man of respect. They gotta prove themselves. So they're gonna use every means to hurt you, to make a point. Okay, so they were all tough guys. Chili, every one of these guy, they had they had to prove themselves. Period. There was no fooling around. You gotta behave and keep your mouth shut and be respectful. Okay, Camilla says great song. The 70 music was the best. Yes, yes. I grew up with that music in all the clubs, all the lounges, all the bars, really. And Grammy Avenue in East New York, it was the town to be then. That was the big thing. The restaurants were there. So everything was good. Edwin says, don't Giacomo, no matter how many people you have in your chat, start Your telecast immediately channels takes months, years to develop. Wish you the best and never give up. Amen. No, I haven't give up. I think I'm growing strong because I'm telling the truth. There's no wise guys, make guys that they know me or my past have come forward and they're saying things to me because they could come on the show and make comments. The only ones I had coming on show and make comments are people, like I say, they don't know nothing. They don't know better. And the people that follow those people that they don't know nothing, they come out and try to uh, attack me because they listen what they say. But they're going to find out the truth because as time goes on, they will know that I'm real and I was there. I was not something that I created all these stories. How you create stories? Unless you live in it and you know what happened. So now we have okay, then we got Blessed Kada Giacomo. Okay, we got Moco 660 Giacomo, Fist, Camella, Fist. He said to Camella, Uncle Edwin. Okay, we're gonna move it down. Let's see. Victor Young said, "Did you know Joe Dogs?" You know, Vic, I don't know if he was associated with the Bonanno crime family at that time. Like I'm saying, 1974. He might have had another name. You know, they always have a different names. So if he was with that, and he was really a make guy, or he was top lynch with the top guys, like I knew Lefty Gun, Nick Santora, but they're now at the top guys then. They were on the crew of Sonny Black. So, yes, if they were the top guys, yes, I had to bump into them if they were with the Bonanno crime family. The only one I was close to in the Colombo family was Turi Carmine Francese that I did some work with him, and he chose me over Salvatali to, Salvatali was even older than me. He chose me to participate. At that time, Turi Francese was very close to the snake, Carmine Passico. Sonny Francese was in prison. And, Tony never mentioned about Michael Francese. So I don't know nothing about Michael Francese. But till now, the last years, you know, like I said, maybe in the 80s, maybe came to my Amici restaurant to eat. I don't know. Before he got in trouble in 1986, because I opened my Amici restaurant in 1984, and I was having, a lot of people thought that the restaurant was part of Domicino, and being that the Colombos or the Gambinos and the Bonanno was all, they were connected. I'm sure it might have been in my place, and so all the other guys, from the three different families. So at that time with the Genovese, I broke away. And once I got hooked up, which is my story, um, when they cut me off because I was with Rostelli's, I just turned and did my own thing, and then I got to meet the Carrazos in East New York. That's another story. We're going to continue talking about it. So it's a long story. It's not a short story. Now I would like to, being that I could talk and do this podcast story, channel chat. I could, really go to the points how I got hooked up with this tough guys. It wasn't just the books is my story, all the things I went through. But now I'm going to try to talk about it exactly, how I got mingled and with this the individuals. So, and that's what I'm trying to do. So now Victor De Young says, Don Giacomo, can I send some? What would you like to send me? uh, Victor, what would you like to send me? Okay. Yes. Well, as time goes on, we're going to see what 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 it requires, because right now I'm trying to build the channel, and there's a lot of things that the channel is asking me to do. First of all, I have to get so many subscribers, and I will have to get so many uh, watches the videos. That's why it's important that you guys make comments on it. This way people could come in and make comments too, and everybody could talk to each other on the comments. And this over here on the chat, you're only talking to me, and I'm talking to you, and you're talking to each other. But when I think you make a comment based on my story, what I'm saying, I think it stays on the list and people could read it. That's why they have push like, subscribe, and please make a comment, on the subject that we're talking about. So that's what I would like you guys to do. Make comments. Besides, push a like and subscribe and tell your friends. So, okay, now we got, don't let, okay, Edwin says, don't let no one discourage you, Don Giacomo. Like God guide you, amen. Yes, he's guided me, always guided me, protecting me. I had a lot of damage done to me. I survived, and I'm here to tell a story. And I'm still around. I'm getting over my cold. Besides, if anybody wants to know, it takes 10 days to get rid of back cold. Head cold, chest cold, it takes 10 days. My 10 days are up, I think it was this morning. So, okay. So now we got Mickey, Gen 9. Giacomo, how you doing? I'm doing good. Hey, nice to have you back. Mickey, you ate at my restaurant, but you never answered me. Did you enjoy my food? And what did you eat in my restaurant when you ate there? Mickey, I had a pizzeria in the front and I had a restaurant with my chef was Gabriela de Roma. That was my chef. She cooked excellent food, northern and southern food she cooked. And I learned from her how to cook the dinners, because the only thing I knew was about pizzeria restaurants. I didn't know nothing about real high class restaurant. So Victor said, "Don't jog. I want to buy you use Rolex." Thank you, Rolex. I got to go watch it. It's pretty good. This has been around me a long time. Uh, Thank you for the thought. I got a few watches, but thank you. I appreciate it. Rolex. Everybody used to wear Rolex. I guess the guys that want to be top notch, they want a Rolex to show the different bosses compared to the regular guys. So, okay, Edwin said, don't Jocko, when you have time to go to App Store, download your Tube Studio app. How you do that, Edwin? Jaco, when you have time, go to App Store, download your YouTube Studio app. I guess I got to try to figure this out. I don't know. Edwin, I don't know. Maybe you could send me a message how to do it, and I will do it. Go to my Facebook. On my Facebook profile, you could see my family, where I am, who I'm about. You see my sons, my restaurants, and you could send me a message, Edwin, and it could give me direction how to do it, and I'll find a way to do it. So send me a message on my Facebook profile. Send me a message. Thank you. I really appreciate it. Mickey blessing always. Okay. Can I donate, Giacomo? Well, like I said, right now I'm just working on building the. I appreciate the donation. I will accept the donation when I get my app, like Edwin is talking about, and get it going. Then we got here JJ Keeping Cloudy. Hi, Giacomo. JJ, you're the one who wrote me a bad review, JJ. I don't know why you did that with Lisa Pizzatola, but I don't know. You come in here now, you want to say hi, Giacomo. So, if you really want to be my friend, go delete that one star comments you made on both of my books. So, guys, I want you to know that this guy, JG Keeping Cheek Cloudy, is the guy that he went under John Johnson. Was it James Johnson? John Johnson? He gave me the best review with this girl, Lisa Pizzatola. And, you know, they're not good people. So now he's coming over here. He's got a different name. He changed it. And he's trying to be nice. Hi, Giacomo. So, JJ, keeping big cloud, D. You want to be a good man and you want to really know about story, I will come to your show and talk to you on your show only if you do what I'm asking you to delete. Don't worry about Lisa Pizzatola. She don't want to delete it. That's our problem. But JJ, if you delete the bad reviews you gave me and those AI videos you've been posting, I will think about coming to your show and show you I'm a man. I'm not a phony guy. I will come to your show and talk to you. And maybe we could talk about the Bonanno crime family that you say you want to talk about. That's what you said. That's in the last video you made that you were going to stop doing the videos and you were going to concentrate on research on the Bonanno crime family. I'm here to give you all this research from the 70s to the end of Joe Messino and when what do you call Mashamo and all the guys went to prison. So you don't need to go further. Okay, JJ? So keep that in mind. So anyway, next. Okay. Mickey, hope you made a grand today, man. Mickey. Okay, Octavia Grace. Hi, Octavia from Ireland, my Sicilian paisan, real, true, loyal. She's up and watching my show from Ireland. It's got to be there now. Is it 1 o'clock? 1:30? Yeah, maybe 6 hours apart. So Tavia Grace, buonanotte. Yes, likewise. Okay, so Otavia's a good person, good woman. Anyway, now we got Mickey saying, Edwin, thank you, brother. No worry, I got you. an envelope here. Okay. So, all right. So we're going to continue. Okay. So we got this. Everybody send hello to each other, which is good. That's how it is. Okay. Octavia says, where is Sting? Sister Carmela. Ciao, Carmela. Giacomo asked me, be nice. Hello. Good. That's right. You girls should stick. We got to unify loyalty, respect, you know? So Carmela's here in Florida, next to me in my town over here in Port St. Lucie, Florida. And Octavia's in Ireland, which I grew up with the Irish. And I always find the Irish, they were like us, more like Sicilian mentality. So now Octavia said, I love listening to Giacomo. Edwin, uh, how are you? Oh, good. All right. Carmela, guy, we're getting marked a lot. Okay, so my family is Giacomo. I got to go. Okay, Otavia. Okay, Otavia. Good night. Thank you for coming in. I know it's late there. I don't know how you do it. I can keep my eyes open past 10 o'clock now. But I used to be a night guy. I used to be night. Daytime, I slept. I was like a vampire. I used to, be out all night and come home before the sun rises. Back then in the 74, 1980s, 1990s, I was a vampire, so I know what it's like. Okay. How much was Sonny Black was supposed to kick up to Rusty? Sonny was made about how much you got to give Rusty every month. A captain always got to give a kickback. I don't know how much. Depends how much you make it. The more you give, the more you get to become more famous. So I don't know how much you gave. Depends how much you make. If you make a good score, you give them a piece. I always remember giving 10%, a piece. If you want to give them more, 20%, you give 20% of what you earn. You want to give 25%, more power to you. You want to give a Rolex watch, like you said, a jewelry, I gave that too. Bracelets and things like that. Things came handy. I gave it to fucking Joe Messino, never appreciated. And he didn't like the idea that I was trying to do that, doing the right thing. So when they start turning against me, I start realize I give him shit. I didn't give him nothing, and he didn't care what I gave him. He just didn't care. He didn't want me a part of it. So anyway, in 1974, going back to my story, I get shot, which I already showed everybody. If you go to my videos, even if you see, I did the video with chatted with Bill Stacks. He does motorcycle gangs. In the video, I show my bullets wounds. So, and I got him on my, videos. So, I almost died. And I lost everything. I lost my lunch wagon because I couldn't ride the lunch wagon. The people that took it over, supposedly, for me, it was John Messina Savatali. They put a driver there, and I didn't see no money. Everything the place was making, and then I lost the what do you call it? The candy store with the card game in the back. The only thing I was left unemployed, and I was dying, and I had to heal. It took me 2 years before, because I had a colostomy, I couldn't do nothing. So now, I went to work construction with my brothers because that's the only one you really could trust is your family, blood brothers, my brothers. They didn't want to give me the job because they think I couldn't do it because it was heavy work, and I begged them because I don't want to go, work for somebody else because I was used to being my own man, my own boss. So I said I need to, like going on the land, going work, construction in the city, Manhattan, and that's what I did. So so when that happened, I lost my position with Rastelli, being groomed, because I was away from 1974, that summer when I got shot on July. It was weeks before my birthday. I was going to turn 21. My wife was going to give birth to the baby, my baby boy, Anthony, which, is here. I'm sure he's watching the show. He's always, you know, he's my best friend. So he's always, on my side. He's the oldest. The other two, too, they're on my side. But the oldest is always the oldest. Anyway, so like I said, I don't know. Is whatever money you make, Victor, you kick up. Like I said, there's a percentage, either from 10% to 25%. But then if you make other big scores, you always want to share it to the family. So especially the boss, because that's how you get in position to with the top notch. To become second in command. You move up to be consigliere. You come up to be underboss. You become a lieutenant. Above the other captains. So that's the way it's structured. It is structured. The family roots. The family. So it all depends how much money you bring in for the family. So that's how much it is. So exactly, nobody knows. Okay. And then Camilla said, "How old were you when you got shot?" I was almost 21 years old. I got shot. My wife was pregnant, Camilla. She was gonna, she was gonna be due any day, to give birth. He was born, when you're first born, you always, I think it was the last week of July 1974. So I was 20, going on 21. On August 10th, I was going to turn 21. Uh, my son was born on the 13th, August 13th. My wife was a couple weeks late to have the baby. So that's when I got shot, Carmelo. I mean, is he live now and is this present recorded? Mickey, is he live now and this pre-recorded? You mean my son Anthony? Yeah, he's probably, he's probably gonna get in or he's listening. I don't know yet, but he's been making appearance, coming in and talk. I think he spoke to Johnny a few times. So he make comments. So he may come in, unless because he's a busy guy. He's running a business. So, he's got a wife too. So, it depends. 7:49 right now is the time. Yeah, I think he's going to stop in, unless he's out of town because he travels too. Uh, Okay, the street. Uno minuto. Uno minuto. Okay. Now we got Mickey. He just said he was gonna be 21 in 1974. I don't know when he got shot. Mickey, I got shot in July 1974. I was born in 1953, August 10th. So that makes me 21 years old in 1974. We always Sicilian, my family. When you hit 20, you're already 21. Because they counted the 9 months your mother's carrying you. So that was always the mentality we always have. That when I turned, for instance, uh, you know, now I'm 72, but I always said I'm 73 because in August I'm gonna be 73 in 2026. So I'm consider myself. I would say I'm 72 and a half. As I'm 73 because my mother was carrying me already. So that's a Sicilian mentality. Some people believe it, some people don't. The Americans don't believe it, that's for sure, because they want to go to the day and they want to celebrate the birthday. Every day's my birthday, so it doesn't make a difference. You got to wait a year to be celebrated. Just celebrate every morning you wake up. You have your coffee, you have a breakfast, and you celebrate that you woke up for the day. Okay, now we got soy sauces in the picture. Hello, soy sauce. Welcome. Glad to see you again. Good. Now, Mickey, Jen, Otavia, how are you doing? Okay, everybody saying hello to each other. Um, okay, that's it. Mickey is okay. Mickey says, "What am I? I just make it." Mickey says, "Right about that." Let's see. Because you work in the okay. Mickey says something. I don't know. I hit it. It went up, down. I don't know. Now I missed the spot where I was. Mickey says something. Okay. I don't know. Where am I? I lost everybody here. I didn't lose it. I'm scrolling down. Okay. Johnny is Sicily mine children now. No drugs ever. Thank you, Giacomo. Send the prayer. Likewise, Otavia. But okay, Mickey, Johnny, he went through hell and lucky to survive. Yes, yes, I went through hell, but I didn't let that stop me. I was successful in business. I made money. I took my kids to Sicily. I took my kids all over. I took them to Bermuda, Aruba, Mexico. I took my kids all over because I was successful. I made money. I lost money. I made money. The same thing. 9 months of your birthday, Johnny. So you believe that you're Sicilian, right? So you always add on the 9 months, right? That your mother carry you. Yes. Okay. Now it says Mickey Giacomo, you up behind in the chat. I left that comment a while ago. So where are you? I'm trying to find it. Where are you? Okay, I see you. You make a comment. Catalana, where? Okay, Mickey Bet. So, okay, so now soy sauce who says, okay, the Wheel of Fortune. Well, okay, we're going up. We're going up. We got comments here. I'm trying to find it. Okay, So soy sauce says I just come back from the bar. Yes, good. That's the way to do it. Go to bar, chat with your friends, have a few drinks. You got to be young, but it's all right. Older guys do that too. That's the old-fashioned way. Go to bar, have a few drinks, and then after work, and then you go home. Okay, now say Johnny Catalano, Gucci. That shrimp arrabbiata looks beautiful. Okay, Mickey, Giacomo, no cameras back then either. Not like today. Oh yes, definitely. Today is like they got the phones. They could take pictures, films. They could do everything they want. Okay, yes, it's on the silent side. Wheel of Fortune. Timer, man. Giacomo, how long do you own the restaurant? At the restaurant, Franklin Square, I was there 21 years. From 1983, almost 1984. And then I sold the place in 2005. So, and then I got out. I sold the property too because I wanted to get away. You know, it was the end of lifelong and struggle, and people were coming and kept on coming. They would come out of prison and they want to come and talk, and they got this score, that score, and I say, you know what? Everybody's gone. I'm lucky that I bit, you know, because if I would have joined John Messino, took the oath with him, I would end up, in prison with them. So I was lucky I beat that too. So I was happy to come to Port St. Lucie and open up a pizzeria in Port St. Lucie, Florida, and try to make a future in America. I mean, in Florida, in America. It was like a new venture, new beginning come to Florida. I didn't know nobody here either, but I was used to that. I always moved from for Sicily to Red Hook to Ridgewood to to Glendale, from Glendale to went to Upper Beach, from Upper Beach, Franklin Square. So I always moved around. Never grew up with kids as a childhood friends. I never had that. Never had any brother. Uh, people that I grew up with. Everybody was different. We were not, childhood friends. So I made friends, still loyal with friends, moved on. People came to my restaurant from Glendale. They came from our beach. They came from Maspid. So they came. Even when I was in Glendale, they came from Red Hook because we had a strong bondage, friendship. But every time I went to the neighborhood, you had to start all over. You had to meet new people, new friends. And you still kept in touch with some of the people from the past. That's what made you strong because you could count on them. So now I said, Mickey, the pizza was good. Thank you. So that's all you ate, Mickey? Just pizza in my restaurant? You didn't have we used to make a veal chop valdostana, veal valentino. We used to make fancy food. We used to make the seafood was sopa de pesce with the lobster, shrimp. So we made all kinds of food. You didn't have none of that? Mickey, you didn't have none of that? You just ate pizza? Okay. Catalan, I wear a Rolex, but I'm definitely not top notch. All right. Good for you. You are top notch. You wear Rolex, you're top notch. You know? Nobody could afford a Rolex. All right. Buonanotte, Giacomo. Okay. Thank you, Tavia Grace, for coming in. I appreciate it. The support. Make a comment. Make a comment in Italian. Don't worry about it. There's Italian. I got a lot of Italians from Sicily also They listen in, but they can't talk English. So maybe they're embarrassed. I don't know. But if you could talk a Sicilian, talk. Don't worry about it. They will listen. They could respond too. Okay. Othello. Who's Lisa, Johnny? Who's this? Okay, Johnny, you are a good man. Enough said. Okay. There we go. Oh, Johnny, you're a good man. Okay. Okay, Octavia. Octavia says, Uno sacho manco cu She's speaking Sicilian. You understand that, Johnny? What she's saying? She's speaking Sicilian. Do you work in the laboratory union? Wow, that's a big colostomy bag. Yeah, I had it for over a year. I had to wear it, and I didn't know if they could put it back. I would have to live with that my whole life, and that sucked. That was not good to be with. But God again saved me there too. So that's why I owe everything to Him. Who do I give my commission to, my money to? God. Only Him, nobody else. So, and I praise always to Him. He's the only one that protects me. I got His shield, I got His armor, and I don't fear nobody. So that's my power too. God has been there, saved me, protect me, gave me my three children, especially my son, my oldest, that, she could have had a miscarriage when the fucking police brought the car to my wife. She was 9 months pregnant. They left the car in the middle of the street, and they told my wife, "It's your keys from the car from your husband." And she goes, "Where's my husband?" She was a young girl. She was, she's 19 years old. Because we got married 18, she was going on 19, and give her the keys. "Oh, yeah, your husband got shot in the factory." And she goes, "Where he got shot? Where? It's right about the heart." And fucking left. And they left the car in the middle of the fucking street. Now, what kind of person, they say, you got to respect the police. But what kind of cop, policeman, what kind of brain, what kind of heart did he have, this cop that did that? So there's good and bad in everything. I don't want to say every cop is bad, but there's a lot of bad people in every nationality, in every religion, in everything. There's always in the tree. There's always bad fruit in the good fruit. The tree doesn't produce only good food. It has bad fruit too. And that's how human beings are. There's good and bad. And like I mentioned, that guy JJ comes in, hello Giacomo, I know, is a wolf from the mountain, and and he comes in disguise and like a werewolf. But I know, because how much can you change? So I think he wants to redeem himself because he listened to the other podcasters, and that's what happened. And he got involved. That he thinks those guys gonna help him. And I told him nobody's gonna help you. You got to help yourself. Nobody, your competition is not gonna help you. If anybody's there listening that have a podcast, and you think by going to another guy a podcast and kissing his ass, that means he's gonna help you increase because he's gonna put your name, to come to you. He's not gonna do that. It's all to make themselves look good. And after you go to the podcast and you try to bow them and you try to work with them, they give you the horns. You know what the horns mean? They don't want you to do good. They want to be number one. Why are they going to help you to become number one? So the best thing is to do, get down people to come and join you. Try to communicate with the people. The people, there's so many millions and millions of people on YouTube, which a lot of them are from United States, UK, Canada, Australia, um, all over. I mean, that they could get it in, and there's millions and millions. If they could have 100,000 subscribers out of all these millions, I believe I could create 100,000 subscribers too from all these millions. Just tell them the stories, participate with the people, communicate with the people, and be a good guy, not a bad guy, not a guy that talk fuck this, fuck that, fuck this guy, this fucking guy, I'm about to fuck crack his fucking mouth. This is all cheap talk. That doesn't make you a tough guy. A tough guy makes you when, like I said, back then in 1974, the tough guys, they carry a gun, they carry a knife, and if you don't show respect to them and be respectful, they will use it against you. No if, no buts. Okay, there we go. Johnny, you are a good man. Okay, so now we go to Mickey. Do you? Yes, you're right, Camilla. I had the surgery to reverse it. And yes, thank goodness, thank God, because I would have that. And you can't control that bag. It's very, I don't even want to talk about it. I don't want people to get sick because it's a very bad thing. So it was lucky that God helped me. Anthony really seems like a good man. Anthony is a good man. He takes after his father, like I took after my father. My father was a good man. The apple don't fall far from the tree. So if you come from a good breed, like horses, we talked about horses last time. The bloodline, the horses, you know, like Secretariat, bloodline, curlers, bloodline. You know, they still they still hook them up with good bloodline females, and make champions. And that's how the bloodline comes. It's always from the bloodline. You can make a good person. They have to come from bloodline. And believe it, that's the truth. And I need to see more likes. I need to see more new people. Okay, so now we got. Okay, Mickey says I had a buddy of mine was shot, and I had to throw the same thing wearing a colostomy bag. Did he ever put it back, Mickey? Did he ever reverse it? Go and put it back? Because sometimes they can't do it. Okay, so Johnny says it's no fun, Mickey. Her like son of a bitch. Can you imagine taking one in the stomach? It burns. It burns. It burns. Giacomo, were you behind the? Okay, I'll go too fast. Okay, now it's no fun. Okay, Giacomo, you are behind in the chat. I left that comment a while ago. All right, bring it up again because I don't want to miss roll down. I'm already down. So if you could put it back up, I appreciate it, Mickey. I will appreciate it. This way I could read it, what you said. That's why I got 60 seconds because I need time to scroll down. I need time to read it. I'm not a professional reader. Uh, Johnny, you went through hell and lucky to survive it. Yep, that's right. And I only thank God for that because if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't even be here. I wouldn't even have three sons. Only my first one would have been born. My wife would have been a widow and raising a small boy. So, it's very hard to swallow. So I thank God that I'm here and my family grew and I'm healthy and still talking. So that's good. Johnny, see, Sicily mind children now. He jokes ever. Thank you, Jack. With sincerely prayer. Likewise, Otavia. Uh, Bermuda, I used to bring my oldest two there every winter. Yeah, Bermuda is nice, but it's always raining. I went, I went there to take my son because my younger one he got a ammonia, and I almost lost him. And I pray, and I prayed to God. Well, it was, because they could find the intervenient to try to save him. It was like an infant. He caught an ammonia, you know, he was an infant. When you come home from the hospital, just a few weeks later, he caught an pneumonia. We brought him back, and they couldn't save him. I just took my son off because I was seeing him. Them always, you know, trying to put the needle to get the vein to bleed, and the kid was screaming, crying. And I say, "This is enough. We got to stop this. No more." So I took the baby off the bed. This is a true story. And I took the baby, I raised it up to God. I say, "If you want him, take him for my sins," because I thought, because then I was being bad, with the gangsters, and doing things I was doing. Like I said, got involved with the cocaine and everything. I thought that God was going to punish me and he was going to take my son away. And I get emotional thinking about it. He saved them. They found the intravenous, they put it. A couple of days later, he was out of danger. I was so happy that I took the whole family to Bermuda. And I wanted to go back to the Bermuda Triangle. Oh, that's a fun, crazy because I believe in God. I didn't believe in. I believe in Satan exists too, but my loyalty was to God, and He saved them. And I got three healthy children, and I got a healthy grandchildren. How many people could say that? All these people that they talk about, all the things they did. How many people really could talk about having a family intact, healthy, and prosper in business and everything? Healthy, first of all, being healthy, no sickening. How could and survive all these turmoils? And I take everything. That's why my loyalty is only to God, nobody else. When I was young, I tried to put loyalty like the Rastellis and this because, but as time went on, I said, the only one who saved me is God Almighty. Nobody else saved me. Nobody was ever there to protect me. So I owe my loyalty to Him. And I still feel the same way, that my loyalty is to Him. I don't fear nothing. I don't fear nobody. And whatever's got to be, it be. Is that good say? Meanwhile, where's the likes? I need to see more likes. Okay, we got a new guy here. 1 minute. To help elected to survive. Johnny and Sicily, my children now. No drugs ever. Giacomo sincerely prayer. Thank you, Otavia. Now we got Benny Levine, 383, Bermuda, Bahamas. See my pretty mama. Okay, you made a song out of it. Okay, Benny, okay, newcomer. We got a newcomer, Benny Levine. Benny Levine. Okay, it sounds like a nice Jewish name, Benny Levine. If it's Jewish, I don't know. I used to know some Levine. They were Jewish. So Johnny Catalano, Bermuda. I used to bring my oldest to there in winter. Yes. Well, like I said, you go in the summer, the weather, rain. It was unpredictable. Very expensive to go to Bermuda too. It's not cheap, and the food there, the restaurant, very expensive. Okay, soy sauce Jack. Do you see the guy John Vesey shot in the head 3 times and shot in the stomach? Then he kicked the ass off the guy sent to kill him. Yeah, I think we made this conversation once before. Yeah, it could happen. People got shot a lot of times to survive. And the anger is what motivates you. The anger. So yes, could happen. Everything is possible. You're all caught up now. Okay. Thank you, Mickey. So I'm all caught up. Thank you, Mickey, because it's hard to go back and try to get back where you missed the thing. Now Camilla says now he's up at the top. That's at the top. Okay. So, Jago, do you know Tony Mira? Yes, I knew Tony Mira. He was not a bad guy to me. He was Sicilian. That's it. He was not a bad guy. I mean, like I said, he carried a gun, a knife. He likes to use the knife. He was a big guy, tough guy. And he didn't like fucking Joe Messino. A lot of guys didn't like Joe Messino. Sonny Black and Napolitano didn't like Joe Messino. What do you call it? Little Jojo, Sammy Indelicato. Indelicato, right. All these people, Giancana, all those guys didn't like Joe Messino. They thought he was fucking Jackie Gleason. You know what I mean? Wannabe. They didn't like Joe Messino. The only one who liked Joe Messino was the Rastelli, because Louis Rastelli, the nephew of Joe Messino, they were very close. And Rastelli trusted his nephew. He was like a son to him. So, and then they opened up the deli, JJ Deli, the catering. They started making a lot of money. So it really, Rusty was not really very close to Joe Messina because they was almost in prison. So the only thing Rusty seen envelopes, money, and Joe was good at that. He knew how to share his wealth to the Rastellis. So you buy. That's how you get moving up. To if you give good envelopes, good money. And Joe Messina was the type of guy that he would take it out of his mouth to score points. If you guys understand what I mean, score points. So in that life, you got to score points to move up the line. And Joe Messina was good at that. And and that's why Rusty liked him because he was getting money from him. Okay, Benny Levine, were you the first guy to use pizza topping? uh, Levine is trying to be funny. Okay, I don't know. You guys may answer that one because Okay, so Mickey says I remember the spot, and yes, I stopped there many times for pizza. Yes, it was good. Thank you. Yes, we had a lot of people stopping by because in the front was a pizza place, right on the Hempstead Turnpike. You pull up right in front, you get out, you come in, you get a pizza, you get something to drive through because Hempstead Turnpike, people travel across to Suffolk, so it was a very busy street. And okay, so Mickey Nine, when I lived in Franklin Square, your restaurant was closed. I lived there only 2 years. Oh, 07, yes. Okay, oh 05, oh 07. Yeah, I sold my restaurant in 205, and then El Cantone took it over. He rebuilt it because he won Embryon. He wanted to build Embryon. He wanted to be modern because all the fucking pizzerias in New York, they start doing marble. They started building like if it was going to a casino. You know what I mean? They all were building temples of pizzerias. Fancy. That was the thing of the past. The regular mom and pop pizzeria. But mine wasn't a regular mom and pop pizzeria. It was like a little Italy. I mean, the place was fixed up. I mean, it was there 21 years old, and I never changed it. I never did remodel. So I had the old fashioned style, and people loved it. They liked it. They reminded them of like what do you call that? Parkside, in Corona, and they liked it was like I can't think the name. Listen, I'm not gonna go crazy thinking about names when my head is starting to get confused now. I'm trying to talk to my buddies. I'm trying to tell a story. I'm trying to get it. This guy comes in, Benny Levine. Were you first guy making pizza topping? Hey guys, would you answer him that? Was I the first guy making the toppings? Okay, so you could answer that, Johnny. Answer this guy, Benny Levine. He's asking me if I was the first guy to use pizza toppings. Okay, so then we got Mickey Knight. Then I moved to Queens in '07 till present day. All right. Did you move to Whitestone? Mickey, did you move to Whitestone? I don't think you moved to our beach because everybody was getting out of our beach. I don't think you moved to Whitestone. I think it was a very, popular Italian up and coming. So I would say, did you move to Whitestone? Let's see how he answers, Mickey. Mickey, don't be afraid to say what time. Okay. Anyway, John Catano, that was me speaking, Cecilia, not Otavi. She asked, who is Lisa? I said, I don't know who she is. Oh, okay. Lisa is Lisa Pizzatola. This is the one who gave me a review. And she gave me a big write up with 1 star and saying that she knows the history about the Mafia, with Francesco Fedolino, because they're from Castellammare. And those are during the 2000s, because she's in the 50s, I think. I don't know how old she is. But, and those are the people that had issues with, because me and Francesco Fedolino were going at it, in the different groups, and that's how I decided to go to their group. I mean, to their podcast, and they were trying to set a trap to make me look bad. They tried it one time, and it didn't work, because I couldn't go on it, because they never sent me the link. But then the second time, people asked them, bring your Giacomo back, bring your Giacomo back, and people will come into my YouTube and said, go back, go back. They're going to treat you fair. They're going to treat you fair, because we were going to debate, me and Francesco Fedolino. So I said, okay. I'm trying to promote my books. I'm trying to promote my channel. I'm trying to, say, I'm not intimidated by not going anyway. I mean, and I did it. And then all of a sudden, there's a microphone is not working. It's not working. I called them out. I said, I never had this problem. So I think, I came to the Lion's Den, and, you guys would never come to my den, but I came to your den just because I showed that I don't fear nobody. And, we had a few debate. We continue on after that. And that's when Elisa Pizzatola became very aggressive, very attack. She bought a book to read it, to try score points with these guys. And then she says she's a member in the group. And this guy too, what's his name? Joe Pastore, that his cousin, he got killed by Joe Messino and Commentary Francesi's claiming they were the killers, and he wants the answers, and he's going to write a story. Hey, I'm full of shit because I didn't give him the time of the day. But Joe Pastore didn't write no bad review on my book. He didn't do that. At least he was nice about it, not to do that. But this Lisa Pizzatola went out of her way with this guy that was earlier, JJ, and he's a wolf. JJ Lombardo, I think he's called. And he has done AI videos against me, shown all over on YouTube. I don't know. Has anybody been seeing those videos? Can I ask these questions? Has anybody been seeing this AI videos made by this guy, JJ Lombardi, mobster, storyteller? I think that's what he goes by. And he's been putting them all over the place. But it hasn't been working because he's not getting not too many likes. A lot of people watching it because they know it's all bullshit, it's all fake. So this is Lisa. So you could go on my Facebook, on my Facebook profile, and it's the link is on my YouTube over here. It tells you, Giacomo Amato, or what I call it, Facebook. Click that. It takes you right to my page, and you could see the message that she was trying to consolidate. After giving me all the damage, she sent me an email. That's how bad she is, and she still insists. She's still cuckoo. What could I do? I can't do nothing about it. Reviews, people buy the book, they're allowed to write a review if they want. But my review and Make My Bones with the Mafia has a 51 review. Most of them are 5 stars review. Most of them. And then you got this two uh, losers that attacked me and saying my book is not fiction. It's fiction, no non-fiction, because they know the stories. What do they know? Do they know? If they know so much, why don't they write the story? Why don't they write books? Everybody's entitled to do whatever they want to do. Uh, so now we got Mayocho. Let me see. Okay. Let me get to that. Okay. So we got. Okay. So we got John there. Okay. Mayocho 16 says, Giacomo, they are all full of shit. People know they are not stupid. That's right. That's right. People know. That's why this guy with the JJ Lombardo, whatever it calls, is a wolf with the smoke. Does AI. Well, people stupid. They're gonna watch the AI. Imitate my all my podcast videos I made and turn it around and make it into a comedy. And people like it, they're supposed to believe it. No, you're right, Mayocho 616. Giacomo, they are all full of shit. People know they are not stupid. That's right. People that have a brain that could see through it. So yes, I saw the AI video, Jack. I don't believe he's making any new ones. At least I don't know. No, he said he was going to stop. I said April 22nd. He says he's going to stop doing it because he's wasting his time. He should be concentrating more, doing more things about. I just told him right here. He was on air with a different name. I told him I come to your show and I will do the debate. I will talk to him. So you want to know about the Bonanno? I got 50 years about the Bonanno, I could say. From the start, Carmen Galenti, and Rossi Rostelli, the feud between them, and the three captains, Sonny Black Napolitano. I mean, that's a long history. Donnie Brasco. I was away when Donnie Brasco was in the picture. I was shot and I went to work construction. So, and I didn't become a member because if I would have been there, I would have probably joined, even though I would have disobeyed my fathers because I was very close with the Rostellis and I was very close with all the guys. So in 1977, with the books open, I probably would have made, become a member, and maybe like I said, God help me. God works in mysterious ways, and I got shot, but meantime, it saved me from taking the oath because by the time they opened the book in the 77 in the Bonanno crime family, I would have been 24 years old. I'm more than mature enough to be a member. I'm strong enough, especially all the things I did within the families. I was doing everything. I was peddling fireworks. I was doing peddling cigarettes, clothes. Did important things with Carmine Tutti Francese. You know, and so I was eligible, being I was from Cosa Nostra background. From Sicily. Yes, I would have got my button, and my father probably would have killed me. But my father was in Sicily then. He went back to Sicily. So that's why I think most likely I would have done it because my father went back to Sicily, by the time in 1977. He retired to Sicily. Prior than that, so I would have probably joined. Okay, so now, okay, now Chawadil fellowship. Okay, now we got Johnny Catalano says, yes, I saw the video. Okay, now it says Mongo 616. Can you imagine rats want to rip other guys apart and make stupid video that are fake? Yeah, that's what we're doing. And there's a lot of there, like you said, rats making up stories. They just say stories, and they're not true. They're not true what they're saying. When they talk about Savatali, John Massino, they're not true. Savatali, he did his share, whatever. He turned right on John Massino because John Massino demoted him. He took away everything from him. He took away his money, took out his pride, dignity. You know, that's very hard to swallow when somebody betray you. And he made Savatali being the GOAT in the Bonanno crime family, like he's Heron Boy was nothing. But it was Savatali and Anthony Spiro that brought back the Bonanno crime family back in the commission. It wasn't not John Messino. It was Savatali with his ability, okay? And with the guidance of Anthony Spiro, because he was from the old school, the old timers. And and them two working together, they brought back the Bonanno crime family back to the commission. So they were talking about Sal, and then other people say we're going to kill Salvatali, they were going to get the contract. Listen, if Joe Messina wanted Salvatali dead, he didn't need nobody else to kill him. He could have killed him himself, and he could have created an alibi. He was smart enough to do that. And all the other bullshit that they went to Vinny Basciano and forget about it. It's overfetch. It's all bullshit. Okay. I just say the internet is a big place, big enough for everybody who wants to try their hands. There should be no reason anyone spend any amount of time on another man. That's right. I'm just seeing that this guy just came in on this podcast, on my podcast now, and says hello, Giacomo. I mean, how much fucking brain does he have? And he showed his picture too. He is. I mean, he can't have too much brain. Maybe he's on drugs. I don't know. Why would you do AI videos and then you go to on your competition YouTube and kiss asses and get close to this Elisa Pizzatola when she thinks that she's a journalist? I don't know. She went to school. Maybe she knows how to write. Maybe she's a good bullshit artist. But that's it. That doesn't make her a good woman, a good person. There's a lot of people that bad out there, especially when they know how to talk and they know how to, write and read. It's a lot of bullshit. And there's a lot of guys like that on Facebook. Okay. On YouTube. And even on Facebook, I guess, and Instagram. Yep. Okay. I just say the internet. Okay. Jaco, my father worked for Local 66 Labor Union. Did you know anyone from Local 66? I was not involved with any what do you call it, unions activities. This was, Joe Messino with the Rusty Rastelli. They got involved with some union. There's a lot of different union, a carpentry union, labor union, electrician union. So when you say Local 66, what was Local 60? Labor Union. Okay, Local 66 Labor Union. Labor. So there's a lot of different unions. And the unions, it were things of the past because as times went on, in the 80s, 90s, they were started to clean up the unions, from a stronghold of the mafia because the mafia was making a lot of money with the unions, you know, because it was that's how they built the unions, using strong hands, shakedown, to join the union, and that was thing of the past. But as time went on, you know, they were cracking down on the mafia being in the union, under union control. So even longshoremen, they got wiped out. They all everybody, the Colosseums in New York and Long Island, they were under union control with the mob. They took them out. So yeah, I never got involved with unions because it was my thing was restaurant, and bookmaking. The original, okay. So Mickey, they originated their life going back to Italian Harlem days. La Familia. Yeah, yeah, that's right. Back those days. Okay, so now Jenny Cata, they don't care about the man. They put away, not their family, nothing. They only care about how they are perceived by others. Some of them just want to spin the story. Then I am not so bad. BS. Okay, they are in the five family books and three letters documentary. Okay, the labor union. It sounds like, yeah, labor union. Yeah, it sounds very big. Uh, okay, documentaries. Mickey Hallam was the first Little Italy. The latest. I know Johnny. My mother's her lover union on Long Island. Labor Union Long Island. Yes, Mickey. Giacomo, the mob started the union. Yeah, the mob. Yes. Well, I don't think the mob themselves. There was somebody that wanted to build the union, and they went alongside the mobsters, and they wanted a strong hand to be able to, create the members to join, and that's how the unions, got built under the strong arm of the mafiosi back then. So the what do you call the trucker union with Hoffa, that Hoffa did, and they were part of the union. They were building, and then he got hooked up with the mafia, and he became the president. So that's how they do. So the mob started that union. Okay. Remember, I told you the last time about the racetrack. The union went hand in hand with that. Yes, as my son, Anthony Amato, is in. He came in at 8:43. I guess he's back from work. He done his thing, and he shows his presence now. Okay, Uncle Joe got Daniel, Daniela's father hire book and the Teamster union for me. See, my son has got a story. Uncle Joe. Uncle Joe Messino, tell him. Uncle Joe Messino. They don't know Uncle Joe. Say, Uncle Joe Messino got Danielle's father hire book in the Steam Fitters Union for me. Okay, see, my son, Mickey, My son is saying about the union, the steam fitters. So that's what I said. I know that Rastelli and John Messina were involved with the unions because they were the top guys. Okay, now it says exactly, Mickey. And then Mickey said, Giacomo, my mother, uncle ran the union. So my mother's uncle ran the union. See, that's it. Okay. So Local 66. That's how my father got hooked up with that job. Yeah. Okay. So Anthony says Joe. He left out Joe Messino. He's worried about mentioning Joe Messino. That's right. Joe Messino helped Anthony's father-in-law get to the steamer union moved up. Yes, they were involved with unions, but that was because of Rusty Rostelli. That's why Joe Messino was kissing Rusty Rostelli's ass and was giving him big envelopes, you know, to score points, to elevate him up the top over the other captains, and that's how Joe Messino moved up by being a weasel, a schemer, con artist. At the later years, at the later years, Rusty Rostelli started to figure out that Joe Massino was really not really that fucking bright. And he was given the power to Savatali and Anthony Spiro because Anthony Anthony Spiro Savatali in the 90s were running the Bonanno crime family strong. And they they got back, with the help of John Gotti, they got back in the commission. So and Joe Messina was in prison. So if Rusty Rastelli would have lived instead of getting cancer as an old timer, I think when Joe Messina would have came home, he would have demoted him. And he would have kept Savatali and Anthony Spiro in power. That's what I believed. Okay, so Mickey said, I can't mention the last name too. Many scumbag wanna ducks. Yeah. See? So you know the scumbags around. Yeah, okay. They also ran the garment district. That's right. Labor union. Yeah, okay. Now it's time to fit in what the labor union were involved. Yeah, they were involved in everything. Okay, Mickey says they also did what Galante did. Yes, Galante, that's what he was, an enforcer. And he killed people, a lot of people he killed. But then he didn't last long. They killed him because, he became too, how do you say, he thought everybody, he was invincible, untouchable. I always said everybody's made out of blood. Everybody, blood runs in their vein. So nobody is, what do you call a machine. They can be, damaged. So now we got the, okay. So also do, okay. Now so Johnny Catalano. The numbers are acting weird on my screen. Like what? Tell me, Johnny. They're acting weird on your screen. What do you see that I can't see? There's a lot of people that are blocked out. I don't know. I'm sure they've been trying to come in. Yes, it says only three now. Mickey, Johnny, the three letters are taking notes. I don't know. We will see. The only thing I know, my subscribers are growing, my likes are growing, so something good is happening. The only thing I would like you guys to make comments after tonight when it finished. You could make comments. What we talked about. This when other people go to see the video, they're going to see the likes and they're going to see comments. and they're going to say who's with me or who's not with me. So it'd be a good thing. So Anthony says, Nemendu, they control the newspaper mail delivery union. See? Anthony knows another union. NMDU. They control the newspaper mail delivery union. Mickey, do you know about what Anthony's talking about? The union? That union? I'm talking about my uncles. My uncle 616. New York Post. Yes. New York Post was controlled by the Bonanno crime family. Al Walker, yes. He was the guy that represented Bonanno. He was the boss there, from the mob. But he was there. And then it's Cantarella, Sherlock Head Cantarella, relatives. See, because they're family. They help each other. Not me. Joe Messino. He wanted me out. He wanna shut me up. He wanna put me in prison for life. See, they helped, they moved, they became money, but at the end, what happened? They had to end up going to prison, and they lost their fortunes. And they had to make a deal with the government to keep some money for them to survive. Because when you take away everything, the government wants money from you. They become distortionist. You believe that? The government, it says, okay, you had a party, you made all this money, now we want restitution. You're going to restitution this, you're going to give us a couple million, you're going to pay fines, you're going to give us what we want, and you could keep this, you could keep that, and you're making a deal. The government. And that's how it is. So, and that's the way it ended up being. I look at the news. Don't I'll walk at the news. I don't know. They won the union, so you could have it. You mean New York Daily News, and they had the Post. Could be, but I know that the New York Post was controlled by them. So our uncle, okay. Now, Mickey J9 says, our uncle were very close with Tommy Lucchese, Big Johnny Ormento, Johnny Di Guardi, Tony Ducks, Johnny De Maestro, Carmen Trumenti, etc., etc. Yes, well, that's what makes the world go round. That's how it is. That's how it was. Back then, that's who were the guys. Guys like Gaspar Destroy a good thing is just one of them. Guys like Gaspar destroy good things. He's just one of them. Yeah, he fucking was a wacko. He killed people, loves to kill. There's a lot of guys who were in the organization and the mafia were killers. And that's what Tony Mira was. This guy's um, some of the Bull. Um, there was a lot of guys. I can't think everybody's names, but that's how they made the reputation. Wrote the mail. I mean, if you stop thinking, there's a lot of them from the past too. So Lefty Backholder, going back in the 30s, he was a maniac, a killer. He didn't, there was a lot of Anastasia. I don't know. You want me to mention more? I don't know. There's a lot of guys. Even my time in the 70s, in the 70s, there was Sonny Black and Napolitano. They were killers. They were, hanging out in the Motion Lounge. And you know who was the real bad guys. And they were, most of the time, were quiet. They stood in the corner and don't talk to nobody because they didn't know how to socialize. They didn't know how to be friends. So they had a little crew that did the killings, everybody. So anybody's gonna push like, anybody's gonna make comments. I need to see that, and the numbers that keep on going, coming up. My grandmother gave me to Uncle Joe Messino. My father allowed it. I was take care. I was taken care of. My father believed it was Uncle Joe showing respect. Yeah, but then he got a little carried away. Yes, he was carried away. He was starting to make Anthony be a herring boy. Go bring a message here, bring a message there. And he was starting to get him involved with the Mafia. So I don't like it. And I told him I want him out of there. And I don't want him be part of anybody. He's my son. And I don't want him around his people. And he granted me that. Okay. Okay, Mika said, if I comment anymore, I get couple tunnel. No, you won't get no couple tunnel. What are you? You've been doing good here. The whole thing is that I got real people, on my chat list there that we're talking. People that know about union, people that know about uh, top guys, respectful guys. You haven't been disrespectful, Mickey. Johnny, you haven't been disrespectful. So, I mean, comment regarding, make a comment. I think Jack Amaro is the real deal. That's nothing wrong with it. Saying, I know the restaurant Amici in Franklin Square. That's not implicated in anything that you ate there. Mickey, you know, you could talk about that, about the way the racetracks, in Long Island. We're going to open up the quarter horses, with the unions. So those are good things to talk about. Those are comments. So anyway, let's hope I got the information from Edwin to tell me how to go to the apps to get to promote my app. How do you do that? Upload your app on YouTube. That I don't know. I don't know. I never did it. Is anybody here knows how to do it to improve my channel? Because that's what I want to do. I want to reach out. Okay. So now we got. I don't know. Okay. Then he said, Mickey, I can only like once. Yes, that's right. Yes, I know that. But you could make a comment, Mickey, on my show right now tonight, talking about me, that you ate at my restaurant, that you think I'm a true guy. Something like that. I mean, you could make comment. You could always make comments. Comments you can't stop. Like them, maybe yes, it's only once. Subscribe is only once, yes. But comments, you can make comments. Okay. Now it says speaking. Not at all. I don't stroll. Okay. I can only like one. Not at all. I don't stroll. I don't know what that means, Mickey. Not at all. I don't stroll. Troll. I don't know. I don't understand. All right, Johnny Catano, exactly. If I could hit it twice, I would. Yes, we don't care about that. Comments. We need comments, especially on tonight's show. And the last show, if you can, go back and make comment. what we talked about. If I have anything to say disrespectful, I keep it to myself. That's true. Nobody should be disrespectful. No. No, Mickey, nobody should be disrespectful. I gotta take a sip. Salute. You know, it's I've been talking already almost 2 hours, non-stop. Cheers. Shentan. Okay. We have so I'm going 16. We don't disrespect anyone. Jack, if you don't like you, if we don't like you, we don't say anything. That's right. That's what it should be. Okay. And then it's exactly, coach. That's right. But guys, I need comments. Make comments talking about how you find my conversation or something about you guys believe what I say. You know, something. Okay. If I have anything to say, this is why I keep it to myself. Okay. Much exactly. Believe me, if I had any disrespect to say, I will have already said it. But my friend and I are here are all gentlemen. That's right. Show these hypocrites, these unbelievers, that you guys are good people, not bad people. The guys that trash and talk like want to be fake tough guys with their mouth where they talk, and fakes. No, show the true color. Try be nice. I can't do that for you, absolutely. So do it, Johnny. Do it, Mickey. Do it. Amici restaurant was definitely an Amsterdam Turnpike in Franklin store. I stopped for pizza many times. Already said it. Looked very familiar. I never forgot a face. Probably from OTB or Amici. That's right. So you could say that on my comment. I know Jack. Say, I know Jack. Giacomo. Okay, now he goes Marios. All good, Jack. We like the Comorodo. What? All good, Jack. We like the Comroy. Okay. So anyway, I think I got to the bottom. I did good. Okay, I did good. Now we're gonna say, are you gay? Childhood. Okay, we got a guy coming in, Christopher Gone, Chris Chris Hogan. Chris Hogan. Is that Chris like Hulk Hogan? Chris Hogan, 7500. Are you gay? So I don't know who's he talking to. I don't know. Make this clear. I'm saying here now. I'm saying it here now. Okay. All right, Mickey, you're saying it here. The other guy is called Are You Gay? So I don't know. Chris Hogan. All right. So anyway, you guys you can make comments. Whoever then push like, subscribe, tell your friends to come in. Now he's asking this of Chris Hogan, are you in the mafia? Okay. So we're gonna say goodnight and I'm gonna have another toast. Johnny, Mickey, Anthony, uh, Mookie. What are you? Okay, 1 minute. 1 minute. We got says hello, goodbye. Carmela's left us already. Oh, Manucci, 616. Salute, thank you. Very good. And I think I got most everybody. So, Anthony, good night. And we talk Friday. We're going to do it again Friday. We're going to start it 1977. What took place in 1977 in East New York and Glendale? We still got to talk about Glendale because that was my neighborhood, Glendale. So I'm going to end it. I'm going to say salute, stay healthy, and come back. And I'll see you Friday. Good night. Cheers. Good wine.